Hello everybody, and welcome to Sunday Mac. We got our Mac here. And let's start this off by just introducing ourselves with the core members, which is me, Derek,
Lance.
Jolie.
our other core members in here, which would be Dustin. But we have two guests today, which are...
Steven.
Angel.
Alright, and let's say one fact about ourselves going around the room.
I am a furry cosplayer.
Alright.
I watch way too much TV.
Lance, your turn.
I watch too much harem anime.
I'm an artist, gamer, and just general weeb.
And according to this one, I am overly obsessed with Dragon Ball.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit.
Just a wee bit.
I'll say basically what this podcast will be about and everything. Well, there is no general thing. It's whatever we want to talk about, we talk about.
So if you want to listen into our random talks, be prepared because you may get some weird stuff.
And if not, please do anyway so we can get ad revenue.
Oh, wow. You can tell who the greedy-ish one is in this bunch.
Greed. Just want to pay my bills. One or the other.
I'm just in it for the anime.
Same here.
I'm just here for the food.
Yeah!
Hey, free food's always a plus, right?
Yeah, I'm just here for the Mac.
Yeah, that wasn't a abridged moment from Yu-Gi-Oh! But, alright.
These are French trade daters.
And we're dedicating this series around different Macs.
Today is
Today we just have a normal mac and cheese, straight out of the box. You can buy it at any local food store.
We're not going to advertise.
Yes.
elbow macaroni in cheddar sauce.
Cheddar powder.
Cheddar powder sauce. It's
No.
not even real cheese.
Eventually we will get made our own Mac made by Julie here.
And of course, if me and Angel come on again, we'll be more than happy to cook for this.
Ah,
I'll be
Because
happy
we
to
have
go.
our own
the
custom
more
takes on mac and
Macs.
cheese.
the Motor Max.
Man, if you're all prepared to not eat it, I'm prepared to cook.
I'm right there with you. As you can tell who the people who can't cook.
Hey, knock it off.
I mean,
I'm guessing he's part of the not being able to cook.
Yeah, I can cook mac.
Yeah, that's
Okay, we
fine.
can cook this kind.
I've made homemade mac and cheese before. You just haven't been there to eat it.
So today, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over each of our top 5 anime and the ones that are on our bottom 5.
No. This is the question I have to ask you guys. Do you guys want to do it as like all the top animes, or do you want to do it like one at a time with the first on the top and then the first on the bottom and go down like that?
I'd say first on and then go down. Or bottom one and go up.
This is
no. He's asking if you want to do the first top and then the fifth and then the bottom of the, like fifth of the bottom and then alternate.
I'd say the other way around.
You want to do it just all one and all the other?
No, just fifth
No.
of each.
Fifth, fourth, third.
Oh
Both.
yeah, that we're
That's what
saying
he's
that.
saying.
You're saying, do you want to? We're asking if you want to
Alternate the
alternate the
bottom
best
and
and the
top.
worst, or do you
Yes,
want to just
that
do
works.
tops and then?
Okay,
Okay.
We're all
we can
listening
do it
to
that way.
everything and just
And
confused.
I'll start this side off. Let me go back down my little list here.
do we each want to like do like our top best and then our top bottom and then go to
We'll
the next
do the
person?
first all top everybody around
Yeah,
first.
we'll do it all. And then
Excuse
for the
me.
bottom.
Yep,
Just what it
just
is,
to
and maybe your
alternate
reason.
all the way through.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
in my top 5, my 5th one will be Inuyasha. That's one of my ones that got me started into going on to Toonami. Well, it wasn't really on Toonami, but it was on Adult Swim. But it was like when Toonami fell apart, this got me back in.
Hmm.
I thought when Toonami fell, that was probably the end of me watching anime, and then randomly stumble across Inuyasha on Adult Swim, and it began a new set for me. So
For my number 5 on my top 5, I have Shaman King.
huh.
That's actually one I got into because I read the manga first. And I decided to give the anime a shot. And I haven't finished the anime yet, but what I've seen so far is good and I appreciate it.
Alright, go ahead.
Okay, I got Dragon Ball, the original one, not Z, Super, or GT, the first one, because that's what I like. That's what I do like most of them to a degree. Z is very good. Laters. Dragon Ball has the best fight scenes. It's actual clever stuff. It's not just who has the biggest blast half the time. And passing it on.
See, I'm the Dragon Ball fan. I still get his opinion, and I respect it. We're not going to attack each other because we have different opinions.
Yeah, I have
Especially
my
because
own
we're all
one,
armed.
so-
That's a good deterrent.
Fear the forks.
Okay, so my number 5 is Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho has been one of my favorites since I was little. It's definitely one of my gateway animes. And literally my favorite part about it is that it's still in the hand-drawn style. And that, to me, makes it all the better.
My top would have to be Naruto. Shippuden. Gotta specify that. Because, one, I'm a huge Kakashi girl, through and through.
As you're covering up his whole face with your hair.
Ta-da! And, number 2, to me, it's just I feel like Shippuden... I remember one time when I broke my arm, it was on a marathon, and that was like one of the biggest things I watched, which is nothing but Naruto Shippuden. So it'll always be in my favorites.
That's one reason.
So now, the 5th one of probably my least favorite, because we're going to do a top, like, best and top our least favorites. Now, this one was hard for a lot of us, coming up with a bottom 5.
So much easier to sort your likes than your dislikes.
Right?
Yeah. Now, bottom 5, mine was Big O. I don't know why. I couldn't get into it. It was one of those mecha animes I just really couldn't, no matter how much I tried. Because I liked Gundam as a kid, so I really tried to get into this because I liked Gundam a lot, and I just couldn't do it. It couldn't pique my interest at all. So, go ahead on your 5.
For my bottom 5, number 5, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this. One Punch Man. The anime itself is okay to a degree. The premise could have been executed better. It just doesn't grab my attention. And you'll hear me say this a lot with most of my bottom 5. The fan base and the toxicity within can be just too much at times.
That's not wrong.
That's it.
Okay. Just give me some kind of cue because you're behind me. I can't talk
Go
again. Okay. We're sorry to have aired the anime because I was really into the manga in high school, and then one day I stumbled across the show version. In the manga, it was evolved, there was character development, the fights were interesting to watch. The anime comes along. It's 12 episodes, both shots with one actually good fight scene. and then it gets even worse with Chapter 2, where they didn't even use the plot from the manga at all, outside of introducing the little sister. And that is all. Moving on.
She just took a bite of mac and cheese. It's alright.
Sunday Mac!
Number 5 on my bottom 5 is Death Note, the anime itself. The manga was fantastic. I loved it. Everything about it. The anime was crap. Moving on.
The anime should have choked on a
moving
potato
on.
chip.
My bottom, funny enough, is the original Naruto. So, I have a reason to it, and it's probably the silliest reason in the world, but I really can't stand Naruto in the original series,
Believe
especially...
it?
Yes. Just no. Like,
I
that's...
don't believe
that,
it.
Yeah, no. I don't
wasn't
believe it,
not
and now I
to do
believe
that.
it to be your turn.
Nice segue.
Number 4.
We don't condone violence.
We here at Team Sunday Mac do not condone violence against children. We do, however, find it hilarious.
Okay, Derek, start us off with number 4 on the top
My
5.
my top 5 on number 4 was Devil's a Part-Timer.
I've been wanting to get into that.
Oh, it was
didn't
good.
even
It's
think of
funny.
that one.
That's what I liked about it, is it took the premises of, like, Satan and all that stuff and made him a person who works at a McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah, McRonald's.
Yeah, because God's been copyright.
But that was just hilarious to me, and the story actually ended up being really good.
I just loved it. At least I can't remember if it was an anime, but at least in the book, his name in the apartment is Jacob Satan, and nobody
Well,
I
questions
don't know
this.
if that was in the anime.
It was in the
I
English
really forgot
translation of
about
the
that
light
anime.
novel, though,
That's funny, but
because I did read the light
I
novel
loved
version.
it.
as I said, it was just one of those ones that you just expected nothing but comedy and ended up having a really good story behind it. So,
Animes that have a good hook like that will get you.
Every time.
go ahead for your 4.
For my number 4, I gotta say, I'm not the first person to mention this on my list. The Dragon Ball series, specifically Z. Dragon Ball Z was one of my gateway animes, probably my second one. And while yes, the fight scenes are very, what's the word? Exaggerated.
Stupid.
Wow!
Wow!
There was a decent plot line for the most part.
Sorry.
I didn't like the remasters. I prefer the uncut originals because there's just stuff in the original that wasn't in the remakes. And I do have to admit, the filler does get boring, but the main storyline is what keeps you watching.
Also, I'll just add on your point, it is like the best abridged series.
Oh my
Oh.
god,
Yes.
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 Dragon Ball Z
That one's
Abridged
abridged. That one's
was the
abridged
best
in
abridged
Yu-Gi-Oh.
series I've ever watched.
Both of those abridged series, Yu-Gi-Oh and Dragon Ball, hands down,
I'm
fantastic.
pretty much in agreement with probably everyone by saying we will miss the abridged series.
Oh, I'm still super upset about that.
I kind of said coming, so
So did
I'm not
I.
depressed.
I'm
Okay.
still upset because I kept my hopes up.
Yeah, so did I, but what happens happens, you know?
All right, you
Moving
go
on,
on.
Lance, it's your
Yeah.
turn.
One Piece. Not 4Kids dub. I don't think the only thing they had going for it was a so bad it's good rap theme song. But
Yeah,
once
the
we get-
theme.
it was so bad. That was so bad. I kind of loved it.
Right. I
But-
think that's why everyone loved it.
It's
But-
one of those so
Yeah,
bad
it's
it's
in
good
my
things,
head.
right?
But I do like the actual anime with the subs and the Funimation dub. I just love the sense of adventure in the show. Like, what's gonna happen next? I don't know. Could be anything. Could end up in a Desert Kingdom. Could find a toad in overalls. Anything. Not enough of that in fantasy these days. It's always like elves and stuff. And, so without further ado, passing on.
My number 4 would have to be Inuyasha. Again, the hand-drawn style is beautiful. The plot is amazing. And the manga itself, as involved as it is, the anime actually captures that, unlike other anime on my list. Moving on.
My number 4 will be SAO.
Sword Art Online?
Yes. Because I utterly love the series. I think it's beautifully done, and I know that a lot of people don't like it, but I really don't care. Because to me, that it has one of the greatest, tellings of being stuck in a video game.
I tried not to be the asshole, but I gotta say this. Overly narrow superlative a bit there. I don't mean to be insulting, I'm just saying. You're still being stuck in a video game. There aren't that many.
Her little notebook's gonna fly at you, sir.
I'm not going to throw it at Lance.
But
No, you know what I'm saying. It's kind of, you got kind of specific there.
my bottom 4 was Hunter x Hunter. Another show I just could not get into. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everything about this show is bad. That's why it's more not to the bottom,
The Redux was horrible.
but
So just remember,
I just
he's
did
the one
not-
to send your death threats to.
I'm not gonna judge anyone for liking it. I'm not that kind of person. I just couldn't get into it. I'll admit I'm not a fan of it, and that's all.
Moving on to me. I have as number 4 the Evangelion series. As a mecha anime, it's definitely one of the better executed ones, but it was just too gory for me and too psychedelic. Just the mindfuckery that goes on throughout the series. After a bit, I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And I'm not gonna judge how other people see it, but it's just not for me. Moving on to Lance.
Number 4.
Yep.
Sailor Moon Crystal. Because I cannot handle the Uncanny Valley animation. Also, the characters are a lot more boring than the original version, but the big thing that kills me is the animation. Those mouths are so tiny once you actually add something that defines the lips. Those eyes are out of proportion. I cannot handle the
Yeah.
bloody Uncanny Valley animation.
Yeah.
I think I've made my point. I repeated it 3 times. Moving on.
My number 4 least favorite anime would have to be the original Naruto series. I'm sorry, that was around the time, 1, it was segueing from traditionally drawn, 2, I just can't believe it how stupid that anime was. Jolie.
We're just gonna use this pun
Yes,
every time
yes.
it's brought up.
My number 4
Death to
would have,
Bayo.
my number 4 would have to be Vampire Knight.
I fell over.
Are you okay?
First Blood.
Ow.
First injury of the podcast.
Yep. Anyways, my number 4 would have to be Vampire Knight. Partially because when I was in middle school, I read a few of the, few things in the manga, and I really liked it. So I got super excited when I saw it on Netflix. Don't ever get super excited when you see it on Netflix. That's my only reference there. Passing on.
So let's get a potential for the next one, but am I the only one getting reminded of shit? I was on this.
Oh yeah, I'm being reminded of things as we go.
Same here.
All right,
I'm also being
my
reminded how
top
much I
and
love
my,
Numero
working with
tres.
my top 3 was Bleach. I love the characters of the show. Don't you stare at me like that.
You're not the
It
only
is the
one.
best cleaning product.
But it's not a cleaning product. But
Look,
I
I'm
just
careful
love the
looking at it,
characters
that
of the
name
show.
is weird.
Yes, I'll admit the filler gets annoying. But I don't hold it against it, because if I did, there would be a lot of series I didn't like if I held filler against it.
Yeah, filler is unfortunately, I think, in every anime
Filler is a
series.
killer.
But I continued on, and I kept watching it, and I enjoyed it. Yes. Yes. Again, another show I love, but
Well, there
it's
were entire
Battle
episodes of shouting.
But alright, and then she probably would want to put a point out. That's why she stared at me.
His personality is a lot like Ichigo's when he's mad.
Oh, you mean brash and careless?
Very much. Very brash, careless, and blunt.
Ooh.
But continue on.
So we're on number 3, the top 5?
Yep.
Okay. Derek put this on his bottom 5. Big O. This was one of the first anime I ever watched, and the story hooked me from a very young age. I will admit I didn't know half of what was going on back then, and rewatching it now I can definitely get some of the nuance, but I can see how other people wouldn't get hooked in the story as much. So, not judging Derek for disliking it, or not being into it, or whoever else, but it's just something I liked. Moving on.
Number 3, Outlaw Star.
Oh, that was a good one too.
It was.
Oh, it was just the whole package. The space battles were great. I love the character interaction between the characters. And it had a gun that shoots freaking magic.
I don't know why I'm saying that show, and I don't know if this is on anyone's list, but it reminded me, like, as you're talking about it, I was like, you know what also is a good anime? Trigun.
Yes!
Trigun was good. I didn't think to consider that on my list.
Yeah, but I thought about it, but I didn't quite make it. If this had been a top 10, try going to be there.
Yeah, it probably would be in mine if it was a top 10, but...
So, with that down, moving on.
My number 3 would have to be Cowboy Bebop.
Ooh.
Just Spike, Faye, Edward, they're all fantastic characters.
That
But
opening.
can we just take a moment to appreciate the Battle Space Corgi?
See, I've never watched Cowboy Bebop, but I will give it one thing, is it does have a very catchy opening.
Oh, the opening's great.
I
My
struggled
favorite character is
with Cowboy
Ein,
Bebop.
the Space Corgi.
Betamax player in space.
I'm sorry, like, I struggle with having to not put that on my top 5.
Oh, there's
Oh,
a lot I
see.
struggled with.
I ended up switching it out for one that I already had written down. As I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'll go with that one instead.
Number 3 for me would have to be Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah,
Super.
for you.
Okay, I like Z. GT is garbage, let's be realistic here.
I like GT.
I'll talk
And
about
the
GT
original's not
momentarily.
bad. But to me, Super stands out more than anything because of the animation effects. And my favorite character, which was non-canon for the very longest time, is now officially canon, and I cannot wait to see how he grows into something else. Broly!
I have to admit, the new Broly I like a lot better than the
I
old
like the
one.
new Broly.
Yeah,
I don't
well, yeah.
like some of the other stuff they incorporated,
quote-
though.
to
Because of
reference-
how they incorporated it.
To quote Team 4-Star, old Broly was basically just Space Hulk.
Yep,
Yeah, you're not wrong.
but I love them both. So, moving on to Dedek.
And my 3
Bottoms.
is, and this is one of his favorites, but we don't attack each other for it. I don't like One Piece. I don't at all. I don't, like the concept to me. I guess I would say I liked, but I don't know what it was. I didn't get into the story, I guess. There's characters in it I like. That's why I can't say I hate it, because I do like some characters.
Unrelated note, first one, don't Manak.
So this man's already done with his Sunday Mac for the day.
Nope, out of the cast.
Hey,
It's not called Sunday Mac. It's not called Sunday After Mac.
But, yeah, like, it's got good characters, I'll give it that, but I can't get into the story too well. So,
for me, sorry, my phone just shut off. Dragon Ball GT. I just have 2 words to say. Wasted potential. They could have done so much with it, and a lot of the stuff that the fans do like about GT is overshadowed by just how much the fandom hates. Because it was poorly executed, and the directors just pretty much said, screw what the creators say, we're doing this our way. And when the higher-ups just dropped it and said, fine, do whatever you want when you fail, it's not our fault, it turned to shit. And again, pardon my language, again, there's just wasted potential there.
no, we're gonna have Dustin on this podcast. There is no such thing.
So just to get out of the way. Fuck shit, cock shit, motherfucker, tits and.
Well, we just got completely
Well.
demonetized.
We
So,
wanted monetizing, we don't have that now.
and we're, on the right side, we don't have to worry about outfitting the Copa
True.
eggs anymore.
Um,
We are definitely out for
But, like,
kids.
I'll get your
Again.
point. Like, for instance, story wasn't the greatest. I'll give it its, like, Super Saiyan 4. Some of the villains were pretty good.
Yeah, they could have done so much with it if they
I feel like I'm
just...
the only person on the internet that
Actually
kind of likes that
tried.
show.
Yeah, if they'd actually tried.
There's certain parts of it I enjoyed.
Same here.
I can't say I'd, like, the whole beginning I didn't like.
Like,
And
we're
I'm
talking-
sorry, the whole Goku Jr. thing was just... ugh.
That movie. That was a movie.
That
Well,
was
no, it was at
weird.
the end of the series, I think, too.
End of the
Yeah.
series.
All right, Lance, it's your turn.
Yeah, your turn.
Okay. Well, Revenge of the Nerds. Bleach is my 3rd least favorite. Well, I liked it for the initial arc because let me rephrase that. I liked it for the Soul Society arc because the Soul Society arc had that fun. It had that build up. We gave a crap about Rukia because we'd actually get to watch the tournament that I mentioned ago. The powers for the Zanpakuto Tales were kind of cool. So for all that, it was fun. Then you get to Soul Society. Not Soul Society, Huecamundo. And it's just a rehash. But it's interesting and less development because Zorihime didn't have nearly as much screen time with Ichigo. And the powers weren't nearly as interesting. And then you get to the Fullbring, and then I stopped watching.
At least you made it to
You know,
almost
I'm going
the
to
end.
discuss part of that when
It
it's my
dragged a
turn
bit,
to talk about
but
Bleach.
it just drew, and it was too repetitive for me. So
Well,
moving on.
I can
Well,
respect
speaking
that.
of repetitive, my number 3 least favorite anime is Bleach. Mine is for a totally different reason. First of all, have you ever seen what a teenager looks like? Not a 25-year-old man.
Are you talking about the movie, or are you actually...
No, I'm talking about Ichigo. He looks like he's 25.
No, he does not.
Oh,
The
he
animation
does look a
style-
little older than 15.
He is not
That's-
15, he's
but that's
in his
anime.
20s.
It's anime. Everybody
I'm
in
sorry,
it looks
at least
12 or
21.
20.
Yep.
Yep, it's either 12 or 20, but
Let's
the other
face it, Rukia looked underage as all hell.
Kinda.
Steven, she's trying to finish her point.
Sorry.
But my other issue with it is too much filler, too much repetitiveness, and can you give Orihime a brain instead of just big boobs?
You know what? I felt that one, actually. My number least 3, let's just say that, is Orin High School Host Club. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. I have nothing wrong with Yaoi. Nothing wrong with it. But the way that it gets shoved down my throat, I don't like it.
You know the main character in that was a girl, right?
I don't care.
That was not a Yaoi show, though. There was like one, that kind of... There was one kind of that was their
Cartoon
gimmick.
twins.
But It
Either
was
way,
mostly a bunch of dudes obsessed with a girl.
either way, I don't like it because of how badly people were shoving it at me.
Now, so you don't like it because of a... Oh.
The fandom.
That more
The
makes
fandom
sense.
kind of turned me away from it.
That was a fail and a half.
No, I feel that. I have the same problem with Ruby and Bumblebee. I cannot get away from the show just because I can't handle those fans.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand that.
Number
But
2.
On the
Of our
list.
top. Mine, number 2 is Black Cat.
I forgot about Black Cat.
Black Cat for me was one of those animes in school that I just I found the manga first, started reading it up, and then found out that there was an anime to it. And then when I started watching it, I was like, this is really good. I really like the main character Train and how he was. I love the organization they end up battling throughout the series. Dog barking, sorry for headphone users. I'll try to cut that out throughout the editing process. I think our other core member just arrived. But, yeah, I don't want to spoil too much for people who would want to watch it, but I recommend it for sure. Now, moving on.
Okay, for my number 2 in the top 5, I have Yu-Gi-Oh! The very first series, Duel Monsters, was my very first anime, alongside Pokemon. I'll mention that later, though. Yu-Gi-Oh! I love Duel Monsters, even though it got a little out of hand towards the end. I loved GX, even though the English version couldn't get anything straight.
and didn't end.
But, to be fair, the Japanese dub is still good. Or sub.
Sorry.
My bad. And 5Ds. Loved the whole story for 5Ds. Anything past 5Ds I couldn't really get into. Especially with some of the new summoning mechanisms they implemented as well. I'm an avid Yu-Gi-Oh! Card player, so I play the card game as well as watch the anime. And like I said, once 5Ds ended and the rest of it started, I wasn't as into it. But I will give them props for everything up to 5Ds and including 5Ds. It kept my attention for a long time.
I think we have someone who has the hiccups.
Moving on, Lance.
Oh, no. We're on number 2, right?
Yes, number 2 top.
Okay. My best number 2 is Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World.
I don't even know that one.
It has some of the Konosuba. It's one of the newer one. It's probably the newest one on this list if I'm remembering everybody else's correctly. But I love it because it has. First off, the main character is an asshole, and I love his performance. He is an asshole. He is an unrepentant asshole, and the story basically the story knows this and rolls with it. But he's also a really clever asshole, so it's so much more fun to watch him win the generic overpowered McJesus. And 2, because darkness is best, girl, and I will fight all of you fucking Mega Man fanboys over it. Moving on.
It's your turn.
My number 2 would have to be Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing was my very first anime that I knew was anime. I was aware of where it came from. It was my first big robot anime. And it was the first thing I ever cosplayed from. It was literally just... It meant so much for me. It was literally just everything to me when I was a kid.
That's fair. My number 2 is Full Metal Alchemist, both Brotherhood and original. I don't care who you are. I love them both, and they are both equal in my heart.
And kudos
I feel
to
like
you
there's a
for
lot
that.
of call out to our viewers in this for no particular reason.
We're prepared to fight.
I will
Hey,
fight to
look,
defend what I like.
you guys don't know Konosuba. You would understand if you did.
But anyways, Full Metal to me is, especially with Brotherhood, is beautifully done, and I think it's very underappreciated and very undersold.
I never watched the
It is
original,
not
but
undersold at
Brotherhood
all.
was amazingly
It's
done.
not sold enough.
I actually have a brain fart for you. Alright, full of
Okay, number 2 bottom.
I always forget how to say the name, but Rosario and the Vampire.
Rosario.
Rosario and the Vampire.
Rosario.
That was my number 2 bottom. That was just awful. I watched it with her, and we're not doing that again.
No.
That was
Once
just bad.
again, once again, if you're
I'm
interested in this
sorry, I couldn't
franchise,
read
read
the
the manga.
Oh yeah.
That's all I'm going to say is it was just bad.
Read the
Sure.
manga.
They
So-
just shot the anime.
I'm just going to move it on.
Okay, on my bottom 5 list, number 2 is Pokemon.
The dog does not agree.
I'm sorry, Pokemon, along with Yu-Gi-Oh, was something I grew up watching. I enjoyed it well enough up until Diamond and Pearl. At that point, it just started getting stupid. The anime did. And when it started getting stupid, I dropped it like hot garbage. Because
I like how you're
at
leaning
that
away
point,
like
that's
you
what it
want
was
nothing to do with it.
becoming. Granted, they had some redemption, but Pokemon has had a lot of ups and downs.
Also, obligatory joke, Ash is still 10, like,
Yes.
20 years on now.
I mean,
Yes.
seriously.
They've
How far
actually-
can you take that stick?
They've actually addressed that now.
Yeah.
They've addressed that the Ho-Oh he saw represented eternal youth, and at that moment, a lot of people believe he actually died. He's a
There's a lot
Oh
of
god,
theories.
that-
Oh, we're not getting
We're not
into
getting
that.
into the
there's a
theory moments.
there's a
No
theory that the main
theories.
character died in everything, in literally everything.
No theories here. This
Literally
is a top
everything.
five favorite.
Yeah,
We
we're not
will
gonna go
save
into that one.
fan theories for another podcast because we're gonna need a podcast for like every fan theory we can
Oh,
think of.
yes.
I won't even.
For sure.
I'm not going to apologize for this. It's just my least favorite theory because somebody uses it for literally everything.
But, again, after a while it just got repetitive. They started recycling ideas. And it started showing that at some point they got lazy. And that's ultimately what made me stop watching.
Ooh.
I'm talking about the anime only. The games have definitely gotten creative.
We're saving our
Can you-
game topic for another time.
Yeah. But that's all I really have to say on the topic before I come under fire. Your turn, Lance.
Number 2 here, Lapina. 1. The English voices are so annoying they make me want to strangle somebody. 2. I think you can just say Naruto Segawa, and most people on the internet, most people who've heard of anime, will know what I'm talking about. 3. Oh my god. Why? Why is this why? Moving on.
My number 2
Excuse me.
least favorite would have to be One Piece. I loved the very beginning. I did. I loved the very beginning before they dubbed it. And then they dubbed it. I will repeat, and then they dubbed it. I'm sorry. But
4Kids in general is just garbage with everything they dub.
The first version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was much better in the English than the Japanese.
But
I will contest
the
to
other
that.
thing is, there is just, again, I've addressed this with some of my other ones that I don't like. Filler. Filler is a killer. I hate things with too much filler arc. I mean, I know a lot of people enjoy some of the things in the One Piece filler arcs. I personally am like, can you just stop? Jolie?
I know I'm probably gonna get under fire for this one, but my number 2 is Black Butler. The reason being, I had a couple of friends at the time who were obsessed with it. So I was like, okay, I will try to watch it for them because they really enjoy this. I really don't like it. I watched the first 10 episodes. Yes, I went 10 episodes in, and I was like, is the story going to progress? Is it going to move? I don't like Sebastian. I don't like anybody in the series, Grell, any of them. I think they're all annoying characters, and to me, it's just dull. It's a dull anime.
I will agree. CL is an asshole.
Alright, so I guess we're moving on to everyone's number 1? Or do we want to purposely do the number 1 bad so we can save our number 1 favorite?
Let's do the number
Yes,
1 bad.
Yeah, that's actually a nice mix-up for the final.
Alright, so my number 1 bad one, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I can't stand the anime to Death Note. I read basically all the way through the manga before I even started the anime, and it's just not the same to me. Not at all. I enjoyed the manga a lot, but when I got to the anime, it was just not the same at all, and it turned me completely off from it. And that's really all I could say about it, so move on.
Hey, to each their own. Okay, this one's gonna come under a lot of fire for me. My number one on my bottom 5 list is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The fandom, before I ever even got to the anime, destroyed it for me. I finally had the guts to watch the anime. I couldn't even get past the second episode beginning. It was just... Ugh. I'm sorry. That's all I really have to say on it. Moving on.
The Berserk 2016 anime. I believe it was the movie Planet of the Apes that said it best. You blew it up! You dumb bastards! You blew it all up!
So, how long have you been holding that in the chamber?
Oh, God. We're just going to move this on because I am going to rant. And, because if I try to exaggerate on this, I am going to
We
rant
can
and
make a
rave
whole podcast
for the next
just rant.
3 years.
We can make a whole
Okay, so
podcast.
my least favorite anime is one that a lot of people probably haven't even heard of. It's called Puny Puny Poemi. It is ridiculous. There is no plot. There is no story. All there is stupid. Jolie.
Mine was actually on his list. My number 1 is Rosario and the Vampire. I read the manga. I read a decent bit of the manga. And I was like, yay, it made it to a show. Luckily, he warned me. But when I finally sat down to watch it with Derek here, we were both like, why? Why?
We made a horrible
Why?
mistake.
So many panty shots.
I tried to save them, but they wouldn't listen.
And I'm just going to move on.
Okay.
Number
top
1!
I like him being our number guy.
Right?
Our favorite Derek.
Somebody's got to put some energy into it.
Obviously, Dragon Ball. If I could put in a whole different video people want, our growing Dragon Ball collection. So, it was pretty much my first ever anime. And when Toonami was a thing, it was the first anime I picked up, enjoyed a lot. I didn't even know there was a pre-series of this until he told me when when we were younger.
I didn't know about it until Toonami played it.
And I was like, wait, there's a other series? And I looked at it, again, still loved it. It was just all around, loved the show. Yeah, when I was little, I will admit flat out, probably because I didn't know any better of story writing back then, I enjoyed GT until I rewatched it when I grew up. Then I was like, what in the world happened?
Yeah. Like I said, wasted potential.
And Super, I'll admit it has its flaws. I think it's a better sequel series, but it does have its flaws.
Like,
Yeah,
I think
you're not wrong.
2 season arcs that are basically longer versions of movies you probably already watched before the show.
Like the Tournament of Power arc, I'm not even going to get into. It pretty much was half the series on its own.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to move mine on to him.
My number 1 on my top 5 favorites list has got to be Bleach.
Ah.
Because, again, as was mentioned earlier, there was some great story. Filler is a killer, like Angel said. But if you are into it for the story, the main story, it's worth it. Unfortunately, they ended up cutting off the anime after the Fullbring arc. So we really didn't get to see the rest of the actual series. Still waiting for the 1,000-Year Blood War arc to become an anime portion. And there is talk of that possibly being a thing. So if so, I'm excited for it.
We're not
My hopes
confirming or
aren't too
denying
high up,
anything.
though.
We
I'm
know
def-
nothing.
I'm
I will
definitely
confirm
gonna
I like
reread
cake.
the manga, though, because, again, the anime has its flaws. But it's still good. Lance?
Well, the number 1 for me is going to be Yu Yu Hakusho. It's basically, to me, it's basically the better version of Dragon Ball. It's got the fights, the fights and the power. The fights and the powers are more creative. I love the interaction between the characters. Everyone actually stays relevant instead of just sending into only the Super Saiyans matter. And Kurama is my favorite anime character of
Can't even
all
say Super
time.
Saiyans. Can't even say the Super Saiyans matter. Goten and Trunks still don't.
Now, I'm saying, like, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, if you were Super Saiyan after a while, you were kind of irrelevant in Dragon Ball. In Yu Yu Hakusho, at least all the main four stayed relevant to the end for the most part.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Kurama kind of faded out the last arc as well with the and stuff, but again, generally everyone stayed irrelevant.
Bella.
So I'm going to pass it on to you now.
I think she wanted a high five for
I
that.
wanted a high
actually.
five. Kurama rocks. Anyway, my number one favorite anime was, and always will be Full Metal Alchemist. Love the anime, love the manga, love Brotherhood. I just love Full Metal Alchemist. Edward Elric is my favorite not tall person.
That's
I
also
won't-
a joke that she is Edward Elric.
Shut up! Just a thing for you guys. She almost forgot about it.
No, I didn't.
So what's it
When
like
When
to
we were
be
doing
beaten
the
by a
list and I
cartoon
brought it up,
character?
you're like, oh, I gotta change my number one.
So what's it like to be beaten by a cartoon character?
I have no idea.
Jolie, your number one?
My number one, and will always remain to be number one, even as I grow old and decrepit, will be Inuyasha. It is my gateway anime. It is the first one that I have ever watched. I love the art style. I love everything about the Shikon Jewel. I love everything about it, and I'm going to be realistic here. He was my first legit anime crush.
See,
My
well,
first
the other
anime
thing that kept
crush
that out of
was
my
Roy
first shot is it
Mustang,
had
so
my
I
worst
feel-
I wanted to
anime
touch
hated
his ears.
character.
I wanted to touch his ears. I wanted to feel the softness.
You wanted to pet the Doge Boy.
I did.
So you're saying that one of your least favorite characters was in that show?
Shippo.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what? I
blame
can
you.
respect that.
I hated
Shippo
Shippo.
He's
annoying.
the guy. Shippo alone keeps the show out of my top 10.
I can respect that. Shippo does have his moments where it's like, what are you doing?
I didn't like Shippo.
Shippo and Kagome.
Shippo. And I did really well. They said I was a good Shippo. So
That's
now
because
I
you're so
feel-
small.
Bite
You're
me!
so small.
And there's the Edward Elric.
Milk?
But all right, you were here for our top five and bottom
five
five
versus worst.
animes. That bottom five was a lot harder than I want to
Oh,
admit.
yeah. It's a lot harder picking your bottom favorites. Or
Because when
least
your bottom
favorites.
favorites are different than or
If
your
only
friend's
because you
top
usually
five.
don't watch all the episodes of your least favorites.
And
Yeah.
because you generally hate all of them almost equally.
It's really
That's
comical.
not true. Once again, Berserk will beat out all
Generally.
these by a mile.
But all right. So next thing I will ask here is if you viewers have anything you want us to talk about here on the podcast, put it down in the comments. We'll review it, and if we think it's a good topic, we'll definitely bring it up. We also plan to do certain things like would you rather segments here every now and again, and just like anything else you guys can come up with if we think it's a nice thing to bring up here. I probably wouldn't put that on the
No.
top podcast, but
No dueling
we
on
could
the
we could
Maybe-
probably
maybe
a
it's-
separate video.
Maybe it's a side channel on the. Maybe it's like a side on a different
Those
thing,
will
but not on
probably
the
be
cast.
like just different videos. Like Would You Rather would be easy to just sit here and talk about.
Alright, well, crap, I forgot what I was going to say.
Hey, we all have those moments, am I right?
But alrighty then.
And now we shall move on to our next subject.
We're going to move on to, at the end of each of these, we're going to review show or anime or whatever that we
Movie.
watched.
This
This
is-
one is a movie, our first starting one.
Well, before you start this, me and Steven are signing off because we have not seen the series you're getting ready to talk about, and I don't want spoilers.
See ya!
But alright. Now let us get into The Dark Crystal.
By Jim Henson and Frank Oz.
Now, we did this one for her. This is one of her favorites. So we're going to do this one. We're doing the movie in this episode, and probably following episodes we'll start doing the series. We haven't decided yet if we're going to do one episode at a time, or maybe two so we can speed through it a little bit to start other stuff.
I would recommend doing 2 because they're hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that after the cast.
Yeah. But,
We're going to bore the viewers with technicals.
But alright. So anyone have any point to bring up as their first?
Yes. Once again, why did you have to pick the movie by the dead guy? It makes me feel like such an asshole for when I throw out criticism.
Listen, I'm not the one that picked it. It's just one of my favorites.
I
He's the one who
actually
picked
picked
it.
it.
Why did you have to do it? My complaint remains the same. It's kind of annoying,
But
but
I did do it for her.
So, I will blame each of you equally.
I will accept the blame.
So, I guess my first point, being the actual, like, lover of the movie, why didn't we ever learn the name of the planet?
Because no one bothered to say it.
That's a good question. Like, I'd never even thought of that one during the whole thing. Like, I for some reason just assumed it was like a different Earth.
They said it was a different world, another different time.
Another world,
But
another
for
time.
some
but-
reason, I just assumed in my own head.
I don't know, honestly, it didn't bother me because it's not really relevant what the name of the planet is. All you need to know is it's not Earth, and we're not having space travel. So,
So,
like, if this was Star Wars, where they're going from planet to planet, it would matter.
by the way, watching anything now, I'm gonna learn it's gonna be hard with our animals.
Yeah.
The whole time we're watching this movie, the animals just wanted nothing but attention. So you're sitting there, you're watching, all of a sudden there's a cat in your face. So he wouldn't know that when he watched it somewhere else. But for us,
To be
it
fair,
was,
I gotta make sure to tell Niece so my 3-year-old niece isn't in the building, so she doesn't come up halfway through and go, "Come play with me" for the next 4 hours.
fair enough.
At least you only have a cat at least the cat you can move out of your face and onto your lap.
Yeah, I'll give you that. The thing that niece and nephew weren't here when trying to watch that, because it wouldn't have happened.
No, it wouldn't.
But alright. Anyone else have any other things real quick?
Why are the Skeksis the only race with a name that is actually a made-up word?
I don't know.
The Mystics? Gelflings is
Yeah,
kind of
that's
made
like
up, but it
Gelflings.
still ends in something reasonable. Podlings? Skeksis. It's not even like, there's not even part of English in that
I'm
word.
just saying now, podlings were amazing.
I
I love their party animal side.
But I'm just thinking like the other, like even Gelfling at least has the ling part, that's the ing part, the ling part that's like kind of has an English feel to it.
But yeah,
It's basically just elf.
those podlings were great. I loved how they just like, they started out, you saw the first ones being slaves, and you're like, oh, is that really all they are in this movie? And then all of a sudden, like, you meet what they're actually like, and they're just nothing but party animals, and I'm like, these guys are great.
They know how to get down.
I just like how they run up and then run away.
They have banjos.
They have banjos, they have flutes, they have drums.
And the Skeksis, their voices.
They're,
Yeah.
like I said, we're going to call it. We're going to go back to the volumes for a second now, and they are way better musicians than the main character.
One of my points is Fezgig.
I love Fezzik. He was great. I like how he doesn't have limbs.
He just
Actually, he
rolls.
has 2 little paws on the front.
Yes,
But,
but he
And
rolls.
his body is mostly mouth.
and
Yeah,
he just.
and-
Oh
And he
yeah.
has a mouth in his mouth.
I like how it's closed. You don't expect him to have a huge mouth, and all of a sudden,
He's got mouth in his mouth.
Right.
Freaking xenomorph. Where
I
is
just-
its stomach?
I just like for the whole time I'm sitting there wonder how it gets around, and then you finally see the part he's moving, you just see him rolling, and I probably lost it.
This is probably the one thing I will absolutely say I like about this movie. The fact that they had the alien planet with actual alien animals and environments.
Yeah, the environment in the movie itself is beautiful. Like, you can tell that the set design in it is just gorgeous. With all the different, like, plants they throw into it, animals, even the land striders. It's a lot of thoroughly thought out progress, and you gotta give them that on that.
It's not. It doesn't just feel like Earth with some bits glued onto some rhinos.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you can tell it's an older movie, but it had a charm to it being an older movie in this regard.
Plus, practical effects still trump CG.
And I have to say this now, the way the Skeksis die was quite hilarious.
Oh, how they just kind of crumble.
And then the Mystics fade.
I was like, that one I've seen so many times, but not often do you see just someone just die of old age and then... What in the...
Let's be
Was he a
realistic here.
vampire? Well, actually, no, they kind of were. They were stealing life essence.
Yeah?
When the Elder Mystic died, and in that scene, am I the only one here who felt Yoda?
It did have kind of a Yoda feel to
It was definitely a Yoda feel.
I'll be honest, I was just kind of marveling over the fact that I haven't seen that fade shot look that good in a while.
That, and I think it's funny that also the Skeksis have, like, a fat body, but really slender limbs.
Uh-huh.
I just like how they look like lizard vultures.
That's actually a really good way to describe them.
Lizard vultures, yeah. Now, me and him brought this up before the podcast, about how they banished one of their own when they lost the whole competition,
You have 9 people left.
and you banished one of your not like you're going extinct. This probably isn't your best.
Look, Chamberlain deserved to die.
I mean, we're not saying that, but thinking before he even did really. Yeah, I mean, he did do some bad stuff. He went against
They all
some of the
did bad.
stuff, but they all did bad things.
They're evil.
But you're like, oh, we're only 9 minutes left. Banish him. Why?
It's not like that there's females anyways, so when you think about
I
it...
think one of them was.
No,
I
there is
don't
no
know
female
if there
Sketsky.
was.
That's the doctor you're thinking of, and that's a male.
Eh.
Either way.
I was trying to guess based on the voice. They all look like lizard vultures, so.
Touche.
So, now that this is on my list, what did everyone think of Olga?
Olga.
Olga is amazing.
Actually, for being honest, I thought she was kind of annoying.
I love her annoyance. Like, I love how smart-assery she is.
That's the part I like about
She
it.
gets captured by the crab people, and
She's still shit-talking.
Yeah, she goes up to the Skeksis, and she's like, "Did you bother coming to talk to me? No!"
I'm being honest, that's supposed to get a bug for me. I'm one of those people that watches so many fantasy and action things at this point that it always bugs me when there's somebody who's put in front of, like, the Council of Evil guys with the super soldiers at your back, and you're still being a fucking smartass. Like,
Well, they
gun
seem
to your
terrified.
head!
They seemed terrified of her. They were like,
Yeah, it's good.
I think they were terrified of it. Like, they saw a Gelfling, and they ran.
That's because of the prophecy.
But they were scared of everything.
Yeah, it kind of made them a little less threatening, if I'm being honest.
And then,
Like, if it wasn't for the crab things, they would have lost long ago.
Oh, yeah.
let's be realistic here. It is awesome that the female Gelflings can fly.
No, it's bullshit.
That's all bullshit.
You think it's awesome because you'd be the one that flies.
Exactly!
The rest of us ground.
Well, we get to
Well,
play a
actually,
flute.
no. She never flew. She just glided.
Well, no, but they do have wings and they do fly.
No, they just glide. All we saw was
Don't be
gliding.
spoiling if that's in the series.
All we saw in the movie was gliding.
True. But either way, it's
Wait.
cool that she has wings.
Knuckles glides. He uses his threads.
Oh, Males gets playing a freaking flute.
Flute.
But the sharing memory upon touch was pretty cool.
I actually felt that one was kind of a cheap cop-out. To me, that felt like a lazy way to get the characters to know each other without having any actual conversation.
I guess
I
I
mean-
see your point.
I mean, even if you got... I can see your points against Mystic,
I mean,
but to me
the
it's just like...
ability would
yeah.
be cool,
Yeah.
but I see for story writing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, if they touch on that in the series more as something bigger, maybe.
This was just kind of, to me. And I
Oh, no. That's right here. When they went to leave him, Visgig, who else thought it was hilarious that he threw a tantrum?
First time? Yes.
Yeah. I'm the odd dog down here. I don't feel like I like that movie as much as you guys.
No, I just love the part where they're like, Visgig, you stay here.
it was definitely entertaining.
But I want to get back to an older point now since we covered several ones. But what are the crab guys called again?
I don't remember. I don't have them listed here.
Gotham or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, crab guys. You know,
Guthium.
yeah, when the crab guys attack the freaking stone and metal base of Agra,
Oh, yeah.
and with their claws and no torches or anything, how
Light
do they
the place
set it on
fire.
fucking fire?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Every fantasy movie, attack stone structure with melee weapons, it catches fire. How? It's like
Good
every
point,
fantasy
though.
world just constructing everything out of bricks of methane and tar.
Yes.
I always assumed that the reason it caught on fire is because they destroyed her observatory machine and it caused it to go.
But it was made of rock. Rock is not famous for its burnability.
Yeah, he's got a point on
This
that.
is true.
Like, even if I would say, like, maybe things caught on fire through candles or something she lit, most of the stuff she had was rock and, like, was made out of rock.
And the outside walls absolutely were.
Mm-hmm. So, I get his point. Like, even thinking on, well, something could have caught on fire. Well, it wouldn't have took the whole place into flame like that. So, yeah, I get your point.
This will forever bug me in fantasy when that happens. This is like my pet peeve.
Oh, anything else we got here? I got one funny one that happened closer to the end, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
mostly covered what I've...
But then we might as well have my... Wait, unless it's your point, the main character was kind of useless.
No,
Jet?
this wasn't my point, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he wasn't.
He didn't
too
do
great.
anything until he put the shard in.
He could have been he literally could have been replaced by Fizzgig.
Yeah, in a way, Fizzgig did more.
Fizzgig bit a fucker. Fizzgig, Jen a couple times stabbed at people with a crystal shard and was about to get captured and put it at the end.
I'll admit this flat out. The girl should have been the main character. She did a lot more.
She is a badass.
And yeah. What about this? This is something, like, it would bug me less if it had been like, you know, because the one thing he does is like to try and prove he's useful. Have him read something.
Right? The one thing
he's
did.
trained by wizards. Why couldn't you let him cast a spell? Doesn't even have to be like a big flashy fireball. Maybe just let him, I don't know, raise a log bridge or something somewhere.
I do see your point.
But I'll get my... I know you have that one point that's literally the end. So I'll bring my point up before that, because it happens right before. When the Mystics are all walking slowly and everything, which that was funny to me that they just slowly get there.
Tweedles.
But when they throw the Doctor into the pit of fire, and all the Mystics are walking, one of their own friends just burst into flames. They all just turn, no big. They just continue going. It's like, your friend just busted into flames, and you don't care.
He doesn't even get the whale like the old guy did.
Right?
The hand connection. I love that they're connected.
But it was like, why? Why didn't anything happen there?
Because we are getting to the end. I have my last 2 points on that one.
Go ahead.
Okay, one. How did the floating tree people turn into two, like, Skeksis, 4-armed lizard men, 4-armed ultra lizards. Mystics, 4-armed, like, turtle lizard dudes. Guys that they fuse into. Humanoid tree people.
Well, I mean, the only thing we know is somebody hit the crystal, it cracked, and it caused them to split.
But why does those two things add up into...
Or rather,
no idea.
or to be more accurate, why does that one thing split into those two things that are nothing like that one thing?
I have
Right?
no idea.
I see his point there. Like, I don't get it either.
And what's your last point?
That last shot with Jen was really obviously green screened.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very much so.
Yeah.
But I like how the Crystal Castle looks at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. So, all in all, general, how did you guys feel about the movie? Starting, of course, with the one that we say is the lover of it.
I love the movie. I think it's beautifully done. I think it's one of the best work that's ever done by Jim Henson, next to the Muppets, obviously. There's nothing compares to that.
Good, because if you're trying to say Kermit was worse than this, we'd have had problems.
No.
I mean, it's Kermit.
But to me, it is a fantastic movie. I think it is a very nice, in a weird way, sci-fi starter movie. And like
Fantasy.
like a nice
I would say
fantasy, yeah, fantasy starter movie. It's like one of those movies that you can start somebody with to get them into liking fantasy and everything.
I'd stick with the old classic Lord of the Rings.
I mean, that's obvious.
I don't know. You know, I know we're not doing this. We're not going to do this normally, but for me, I'm going to have to use the number for this. 6 out of 10. Slightly, like, it's above average. It's got points that definitely put it above, completely mediocre. But it's not like, but it kind of isn't the greatest thing to be. The story felt a little formulaic. And again, the main character.
Yeah. If I have to put all that into details, I mean, I probably would have put it a little higher than you, but I like the story premise and everything, but I'll have to admit the main character was bland, and I hate when main characters are bland. Like, don't get me wrong, the supporting characters and everything were pretty good. I'll give them credit. But what killed it for me, probably what killed it for me, is the main character. He had nothing to him.
So, like, if he was less about just kind of there to have the world explained to him, you probably would have liked this movie better.
Yeah.
Again, to me, it's just the problem is that I do like so much fantasy that once I finally got around to watching it, it was just kind of,
Yeah. It kind of desensitized after a while.
It had that kind of chosen one plot to it to me. So it's like,
But alright, that is our whole thing here. That was our final thing. So, thank you all for watching our podcast.
And remember to like, favorite, and subscribe. Or if you didn't enjoy the video, dislike, don't subscribe, and never watch us again.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, I guess that there's that.
I am a firm
And-
believer in freedom of choice.
While you're at it, go ahead and enjoy yourself some math.